I only received one response from the mayor.
Turn your mic on.
And
Microphone, please.
Turn on.
oh, sorry. I received one response from the mayor, and that is attached also. And I just feel that this is an issue that the council should take up and not the mayor, due to personal complaints and issues, which is the way I felt that his letter in response to me was. There are personal issues that we all have with each other. I think that we need to get beyond them. I've had personal issues with the mayor, one being a demeaning phone call, but I don't dwell on that and I don't point a finger every time that another issue comes up. You have to move on and do what's best for the community. I don't want to bring up all the dirt and the slander that's in this email and point fingers at everybody else. There's tactics and disruption and bullying, which is quoted from his email. But you have to move on. We have to agree to disagree, put a smile on our face, and do what's best for our community. And I feel that this is the council's responsibility. I feel the council should take charge. The city should be run by the council. It's not a dictatorship. I'd like the council to look at these social media policies that I've attached and consider taking a stand for our community so that we don't have the slander and the yuck going on the internet and Facebook and blogs and that sort of stuff from our councilmen, committee members, board, across the board for everybody. I think it should be fair, not unfair like the letter implied. So I attached all of our correspondences, and I've attached just a couple of social media things from the handbook from school, because even as a child going into track or band, you have to commit that you are going to be a positive influence for that particular organization or group. And I think that with changing times, our community needs to look at that in our ordinances or handbooks. And that's all I have.
Any other comments?
It goes both ways.
Well, it starts somewhere.
Okay, next item of it. Anyone else need to speak? Seeing none, we'll move forward. Chapter 54, Business License Discussion. Councilman Nepko, I would refer to you to bring this up. You've been in contact with the city attorney, vice versa, I think.
No, actually not. Mr. Raver has,
I think you had some questions.
Yes.
Well, did we discuss it? I drafted some comments, but I thought that's what you were trying to
yeah, it is.
for this report.
Yeah, it is. It's right here. If council has their paper, it's an 8-point memo regarding proposed changes to the chapter. Section 54-100 schedule fees been revised to make all fees $25. No 12 exceptions, and that's in lieu of the previous 67 different categories that were in the old ordinance. Under exceptions, making transit vendors operating during Holden Chamber of Commerce sponsored events be exempt from the city business license requirement, and such events would be established by the city council on a case-by-case basis under provision of 2E in that. Section 5-120 in the old code giving city clerk rulemaking power was deleted. Old code permitting inspection of books and inspection on premises by a licensed officer was deleted. The old code requiring registration by canvassers and solicitations engaging in interstate commerce was deleted and now may be covered by Chapter 52 of the City Code. Miscellaneous fees have been maintained as they have been in the past. suspension or revocation has been kept, as was prior. And finally, section 54230, dealing with annual franchise occupation tax, has been a subsection A of the Cellular and Wireless Settlement Act. And he thinks that, in Mr. Wolfer's opinion, it should contain all provisions of the current section 520, paragraph A through D. And I have no problem with that. Any other comments from anybody in council who read this? I do have one thing I would like to bring to the council's attention. Since it's obvious we won't have the ordinance approved prior to the next Chamber of Commerce event, I would like to make a motion to waive the vendor license fee for the Chamber of Commerce sponsored rodeo in June, because it looks like it probably won't be approved until July of this year.
Second.
It's in conjunction with this business license. And we have to do something because currently the current ordinance requires it. I'm saying I'd like to see it waived.
So would you restate your motion?
Yes, sir. I'm requesting that the transient vendors who are supporting the Chamber of Commerce sponsored rodeo in June be exempted from having to purchase a business license for 2016. You said that this is that right time?
I second.
We have a motion by Councilman Nipko and a second by Councilman Rayburn to waive the vendor fee for the June Chamber Rodeo activity. Any discussion?
Does the city pay the electric bill and all that? The park board and everything? Pay the electric bill and, who pays the electric bill? Park board?
It's my understanding Park Board pays the electricity fee for anything at the park. Streetlights, activities, whatever.
They ought to pay something. They help pay for the electric bill and everything.
We have the president of the park board here. I guess he doesn't want to speak, but
Not right now. We'll bring this up later.
now's the time.
We have to do some more work before we discuss some more.
I did see it's in their park board minutes that Roger McConville is going to contact the president of or the chairman of the rodeo to have discussion about fees associated with the park. Is that correct?
Yeah, we still can do that.
Okay.
When's the June? June council meeting. Last weekend in June.
Sorry?
I think it's June 24th.
So, it's a matter on the June agenda, we just vote on it then and have to waiver for.
Sure. Yeah, we're good.
So if there's some concern here, the park board needs more time. Really, the business license fee doesn't affect.
No.
Surprised, when I want to think about it, then we could vote on it.
In that case, I make a motion that we prepare an ordinance. Business license fee ordinance 54, for first reading for the month of June. That's my motion. I withdraw my earlier motion. And I make a motion that we prepare an ordinance with the recommended changes for first reading in June.
Yeah, any other discussion or comments on the ordinance?
The ordinance itself, on the one you proposed to give to us last time,
Yeah.
the fees, or I should say, the penalties were less than the actual licensing themselves. I mean, doing more research to show that in other cities, they're almost doubled or tripled. It encourages you to buy a license instead of just do it and pay a smaller fee than the license itself. There's no mention of any kind of insurance, any organization or that asks for a license. There's no requirement by the city or that insurance was to hold us liable for the accidents that happen as a city.
There wasn't anything in the old ordinance about it either.
What you're gonna earn on to pay for a license, and then
Let's just
you
don't.
don't pay for the electricity, and pay for those kinds of employees.
I think it's cost to the city when the rodeo should be covered by the rodeo.
In the new ordinance, there is a charge to the Chamber of Commerce for those events, a blanket charge to cover the event in the new ordinance.
How much is that fee?
It's at least $100. Once we become
Maybe we should hold these questions until next month when we have a time to do research.
There's a motion on the floor, second.
You are correct, but it's time for discussion.
develop an ordinance. That's it, right. Incorporating the recommendations.
We need to do something about insurance coverages, because we're looking into the best interest of the city and their money. We need to have something in that ordinance protecting the city's property against.
It's has to do with the business license, it doesn't have to do with
But if
it.
an injury happens.
It's in the ordinance.
We don't have an ordinance to protect it.
I think there's an ordinance other than this business license ordinance that covers that. I believe in our book of ordinances, there is another ordinance that talks about the insurance requirements for events.
That's a given.
This was just an ordinance for licensing someone to do business in the city. That's
Well,
what
you
this
can't
is.
license a car without insurance.
That's a state requirement.
And every other town around us has the
I
same
understand
agreements.
that, but I believe that there is an ordinance already in effect that talks about the insurance requirement.
I will
We
put
need,
against the
we
ordinance.
need to
till I
check
see it.
into that.
Yes, we need to double check that. We're looking at the best interest of the city property. If we get, someone gets hurt there, we get sued. That's taxpayer money out the window. And I agree on our fees. I mean, I'd rather just take the ticket, it's gonna be $10, when the license is $25. I mean, we should be up to this stuff, just comparing.
No, I mean,
Councilman Weeks,
I don't remember.
Councilman Weeks, that issue's been talked about out at the city lake, having proper insurance, and it's supposedly covered under our insurance policy that we have. So the city park would be no different than the city lake.
I think the city lake is covered under our citywide policy, no question there. The question would be when an outside organization comes to the city and has a booth, an activity, whatever, does the city's insurance cover it, or does the sponsoring organization's insurance cover it? if it's not being sponsored by the city.
So is there anybody here from the chamber that could answer if the fair has to provide their own insurance?
Yes, the chamber has blanket insurance for all their projects. The city also has insurance, but it's not in the fees ordinance. As I understand it, the motion
So
on
when
the
the rodeo
floor.
comes to town, the fair comes to town,
Right.
that's covered
That
under
is
the
covered
chamber.
under chamber blanket rent insurance. Okay, so we're covered.
Well, they ought to pay $25.
Well, they're paying more than that for the event overall.
I think the prior discussion has been the city incurs expense when the fair comes to town. We have overtime for police of about $2,200. We have trash costs. So I'm concerned if we do away with all the fees for all the chamber activities.
No, we're not doing waivers. There is going to be a cost to the chamber. For chamber-sponsored activities, the chamber has a fee that's in the ordinance that they pay to the city for the event. What?
Okay, I'm looking through the ordinance and I'm not finding a fee. And I haven't in the past seen it, so I'm searching. I hate to take the council's time right now to do that. That's why probably more discussion on this needs to take place.
I think everyone has had a chance to review that change. I just wonder how many people have done that. How many people have read it?
Besides Jim and Sam and
I said, probably do what we did last time, we should put it out there. So everybody's had a chance to look at it.
That is my thought.
The only problem that I'm having, I mean, really, is we're trying to step up to be a bigger, better city, and we're using these rules and ordinances that we have from the 80s. We need to step the progress up and compare ourselves with other cities. It's not like I'm asking for outrageous fees and stuff. When I can go to the surrounding towns around us, pull their ordinance off the internet, and compare ours, I mean, we're getting raped by every vendor that comes through here. Compared to another city. And some of my family members go to these fairs and stuff like that, and they pay outrageous fees. And
It ain't like they're not gonna make it back.
well, they're not doing anything different between us and them. I mean, we just need to, all of our ordinances are outdated and we need to get rid of the loopholes and just black and white. Straight up, this is what it's gonna cost you to come here to do this. We have a responsibility to, protect the city, protect the citizens of the city. Why are we eating all the costs on these little oddball things like trash? Once I'm not discouraging, the fair at any point. I mean, I love it more than anybody else, but, I mean, we take an outrageous amount of overtime from the police. Ambulance department comes in there and they put on standby. We always use them. Our code enforcers unblocking constantly roads because they're being blocked. He's on overtime. The amount of trash accumulated from that is overwhelming. And generally that comes out of our budget. We need to offset that a little bit because every penny we got counts. We lost 4 businesses this year and only received 1 back. We're going to be doing cuts on budget for too long. We need to figure out how to start pinching our pennies a little tighter.
This is an opportunity to step up, get current, recoup some of our costs. As most of the people sitting at these tables are well aware, city revenue continues to decline. And here we are giving breaks to groups without recouping some of our costs.
Can I say something?
I think
Does any councilman want to recognize?
Yes.
Yes.
I'd like to say that, just speaking for the fair, because I run all of the vendors, and I do that side of the fair, is I have to turn in all of those vendor names, and they have to pay sales tax on what they sold during that event to Holden. So we do receive some revenue in that. It's not that we're doing letting them come through and getting nothing in return. And I have to say that last year, I had comments from multiple businesses that they were busy during the fair. And so if we can bring that in, and that's a generation of tax revenue for you, for your general fund as well. So don't just knock it off that you don't get anything from them, because you do. And I'm not saying one way or another to
Yes,
get
I
through that
understand.
stuff, I'm just saying you need to recognize that as well.
And I do, but I'm just saying is if I decide to open a popcorn stand at Cass County Fair, I have to turn in the taxes. That's part of the requirements of
Right,
license.
yes.
And it is with many other cities. We're one fortunate that does not require that. And that's not my problem. My problem is, even if Chamber took on that, say, all right, say the city bills Chamber for trash, overtime, say $3,000 just to be unfair, or short fair there. That's $3,000 comes out of our budget, taxpayer money that we need to put towards police, fire, city, anything. Well, we're losing revenue by the day. Taxes are down, property, people are gone. We're losing business as it is. I mean, every penny we got, we have to account for. And if we this is an opportunity not to get rich, but at least absorb that cost that we're going to have. So if it costs us $3,000 for all this extra, well, why can't neither A, one of the vendors pay for it, or Chamber pays for it? Not picking on the Chamber or who else, it's just, I'm trying to save every dime we got.
Have you looked at what your increase in tax revenue is during that time period?
Somewhat, kind of.
Well,
I haven't gone totally through it, no, I'm still on the basis of it. The revenue usually, like the tractor pull we had, our revenue was, $3,000. Right, that's one day event, and I can just roughly do that times 3. Yeah, we do make money on it. But I also have 1,001 complaints from the fair every single year we have it. There's quite a few businesses that are mad that we have the fair on Main Street. I mean, I could direct that to the fair board if we needed to. I'm just saying, I'm just trying to save every penny we got. And we got to figure out one way or the other how to do it.
What does Cass County Fair charge a vendor?
Depends on what you want to do.
The popcorn stand that you're talking
So
about?
food, I have to have a Cass County food license. I have to pay a city, or it depends on which fair we're talking about. Sometimes I have to buy my own license, it would be $25. I got to show proof of insurance before I can even do it. I have to be inspected as soon as I show up, and every dime that I've made, I have to account for it, and they turn it into the fee, and they give me a tax form. So I mean, that fee adds up fairly quick. So if you don't make a relatively good amount of money, you're in the hole.
We're discussing here the registration to do business. That's solely what this is. It's really not an insurance issue. For food sales, it's a different thing. We can regulate it differently if they come in to do that. So I suggest the corporate board to focus. The change here was going from 67 categories of $25 to a large, smaller number. I could not find the language about the speed of the chamber in that.
Yeah, I think it was in the draft, it may have gotten left out when we did the last draft. I'll have to go back and
These things happen.
yeah. It's possible. I also have the ordinances from other cities that we use and as our guidance when we prepared this, just to see what other cities were doing. Some of them required vendors to get licenses, some of them didn't.
I think they ought to get a license. That helps us out. We ain't stuck.
So the motion was to direct us to do it in order to the first reading, ordinance for first reading. Are you comfortable with that, or are you going to throw that to the vote?
I'd still like to see the ordinance drafted, and then we can have,
You give us some
see the ordinance as it's, and then we can make amendments to the ordinance at the time of its first reading.
I have a motion to draft the ordinance.
Yeah, that's the motion. You seconded it?
Yes.
That's
Okay, we have a motion to draft an ordinance. number being chapter 54, business license. Second. Any discussion?
So does the motion that's on the floor still contain we're going to waive the fee for the chamber?
Well, that was a separate motion. Well, that was one that was tabled. I told I would withdraw that one until you,
So you're withdrawing your motion?
on that.
Okay.
But I still have the older one about the ordinance being separate.
Which was the first motion.
That's okay.
Okay, motion second. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next on the agenda is decommissioning or disposal of Holden police vehicles. You should have in your packet a letter that's drafted by Chief Martin. Wants to decommission those vehicles listed and put them out on govdeals.com for sale with a minimum bid of $800. Any question? Comment?
Only one car is fully decommissioned right now. The other one is still in use until we have a new SUV in service.
I think he would put them on when that time comes. This is just advance approval for both of them.
And $800 minimum is, we're not sure how much the actual fee itself for using gun deals, or at least I can't maybe aware of that yet. Pretty confident we need that, and then some of it's been gone. Big day off $500, I'd take it, just to get rid of that, the first one we got.
Okay, do I have a motion to decommission and dispose?
So moved.
Councilman Nichols. Councilman Parkin, second. Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Next on the agenda is removal and approval of park board members. Okay. We have a recommendation by the park board to remove member Mike Orcutt per ordinance 34.060. And to, well, I need to go on that first. I have a motion to take the recommendation of the park board and removal of Mr. Orcutt.
I would so move.
Motion by Councilman Daniels. Is there a second? Second. Second by Councilman Thomas. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Park board also recommended that the position be filled by Michelle Landrum, a resident of Holden. Any discussion? Do I have a motion to fill the position with Michelle Landrum? Motion by Councilman Weeks. Is there a second? Councilman McDaniels. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Next on the agenda is approved engagement letter authorizing special legal counsel for general municipal law. It's come to my attention that we may face in the near future.
Mayor, the name change for the Holden Park Board to the Holden Parks and Rec, does that have to be voted on?
Well,
Sorry to interrupt you there.
that's fine. My thoughts are on that, give some discussion and thoughts now prior to placing it in a motion. Now, if the council is comfortable tonight doing that, it would be appropriate, but you need to give some more thought to that.
What's the rationale behind changing it? What's the reasoning that they want to change it? Anybody from Park Board?
Yeah.
Explain why they want to change it.
Well, we believe it sounds better. They run around going, hey, the park board. Give us something to do. Parks and Recreation sounds better. We all agree that it would use this thing for the whole town. Instead of just being park board, of course, it would be a board, but it would be more meaningful. If it's something we'd like to change.
That involves changing ordinance.
I suggest we defer this for a month and let the staff research. I'm afraid that's in city code. The resolution funding the code is changing.
When we have to look at the code, we may have to amend the code. So that's why we probably won't take action on that.
Okay, we'll do our research, make sure we do or do not need an ordinance. Next on the agenda is liquor consumptions. We have a request. Oh, sorry, back up. Approve engagement letter authorizing special legal counsel services. As I was saying, it's come to my attention that we may have conflict in the future with our current city legal representative on some questions and issues that may come before the council, at which time he would have to step aside. So the reason for this engagement letter would be when and if that time comes, we have backup legal counsel instead of being left without. So the city's best interest, I think it would be appropriate to engage counsel, again, only as needed. Any questions, comments?
I don't understand that.
Let me try to clarify it a little bit more. We have the Board of Public Works, we have the City of Holden. We have one attorney. Should a disagreement or question that the council and the Board of Public Works are not in agreement, possibly our current city legal representative would have to step aside. He can only represent one side on an issue, not both, if there's a disagreement. Did that help?
Joe, do you care to make a comment on that, or would you rather not?
Could hurt my reelection chance. I consider myself the attorney both for the Board of Public Works and for the City of Holden. If there's an issue that comes up that two are disputed, it's not I'm going to pick one or the other. I can't represent either. I'm legally disqualified if their interests may decide are adverse or whatever. Later in this agenda, there may be an issue that looks adverse to the two. Amendment of Chapter 110, for example. So, if that is imminent or possible that you could have conflicts between the Board of Public Works and your City of Holden council, then you may wish to have separate counsel to advise you. Think you need advice contrary to the position of the Board of Public Works, or because of some dispute you have with them, if you have.
What would be your, I hate to put you on the spot, what would be your recommendation on this? Do you think we need another, have we ever needed it?
I think you've had special counsel before, probably on certain issues if your city attorney is in conflict or is disqualified or something. So it's not unprecedented, it's unusual.
I'm advised that it has happened in Holden before.
I'm not opposed to the special legal counsel, but I would make a motion that he come to a meeting for questions to be answered, and then at that time, we can make our decision.
I would second that motion.
Any other discussion? We have a motion by Councilman McDaniel to invite the special counsel. And we have a second by Councilman Rayburn. Okay. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Carter?
Yes. You have to have a roll call for a motion to invite him to the meeting.
We're voting on the motion.
Well, we had a motion and a second to invite him to the
I've
meeting.
asked for a roll call vote.
Is there any more discussion about it?
I asked for discussion. Is there any?
Well, I guess in my motion, I was wanting to table him being hired until we talk to him as a council. Maybe I didn't say that in my motion, but that's what I meant.
You want him,
You want to table the action
you want
until,
the whole thing tabled?
Yes,
Until he comes in.
sure. It's kind of, if I'm gonna approve him, wouldn't I want to know something about it?
Okay, would you like to read that motion, please? Or maybe Mr. McDaniels would like to restate it.
Yeah, I would table the motion to go into a letter of, whatever it's called, engagement letter until the council has had time to meet with the attorney who will be representing the city of Louisville
For the purpose of,
for the purpose of special counsel legal services.
what would be accomplished by him being interviewed by the,
Well, I guess it's kind of the same situation if we hired a city treasurer and none of the council was involved. Basically, this is a contract to enter into with legal services. I don't know anything about it.
I guess one question I had when I first read this, why this firm and not some other firm, or why not some other legal person, why this particular one?
would you like to take applications for a special
Well,
counsel?
normally, when we hire an employee, including Mr. Wilford and Mr. Byron, we normally do go out and solicit and say, hey, would you like to have the job? I mean, it's not unusual to go out and ask people who might be interested in the job.
I apologize for trying to be professional about this, run it through, past the council. It's a highly respected law firm. If you'd like a resume, experiences, expertise, we certainly could provide that. But if you want,
Some of the other cities that
they represent Grandview, large, East Lynn, small, and many in between.
Joe, do you know?
You know anything about that?
Do you know these people?
Yeah, I know of this law firm, and they do a lot of municipal work, and they're well thought of. It's also normal, though, to interview someone you might want to entertain as being your counsel. So I don't think that's unprofessional. If you have contents in the letter or whatever, then you can go without that.
So we have a motion to table and to advertise?
No, it was to go.
No, just to
To
have.
table.
Just
To
to
table
have him
this.
come and speak with the council.
So that he can
meet
meet-
meet
okay.
him, see what his demeanor is, his personality is.
To interview him. Yeah. Okay, got it. So we'll make sure we're all clear. Me included. Okay, we have a motion. Any questions on the motion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We will interview.
And for expensive, anyway, I don't know who it's given to.
Okay, liquor consumption. Darcy Winters, retirement party.
Sorry, lost.
May 21st, 2016, from 7 p.m. to 12 a.m. We have a motion to approve retirement party. Motion by Councilman Corkin. Is there a second?
Second.
Councilman Thomas. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed?
What was the date on that?
May 21st, 7 p.m. to 12 a.m. Under resolutions and ordinances, bill number 040216. Oh, okay. We'll jump back up. Approval of appropriations first.
What's the recognition of MoDOT?
Okay, I've lost my place. Okay, here we go. MoDOT came to town and cleaned out Pine Street, culverts, ditches, tubes, and so forth. As a city, I think we owe a debt of gratitude. Some may think that this is our job to do it, and it probably is. But with a phone call and conversation, they came, and the last rain we had, the ditches drained, the culverts flowed, and there wasn't water out on Pine Street. And I think that they did a super job. Also want to mention that the the citywide cleanup is May 21st. The ad was in the paper today, so the public should be well informed. Now, under approval of appropriations.
I'll make a motion that the mayor send a letter of appreciation to MoDOT.
Appreciate that. Okay. Any opposed to that? Consensus? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All right, thank you. Maybe they'll come back. Under approval of appropriations, I have a couple of comments first. First of all, I got the legal bill this past month, and I was a little bit appalled at some of the charges that the city does endure, taxpayer money. One of them was a review by the city attorney, a request from Councilman McDaniel on the water tower dispute. The thing that brings that to my attention is, and stands out, is that the date of that was April 4th. The council was not informed of that controversy until April 12th in an executive session. So obviously Mr. McDaniels had prior knowledge of to the council that this controversy was brewing. And I'm concerned that a councilman would call city council legal advisor for discussion. And I might also point out what brings further attention to this is the fact that on April 2nd, I and the city clerk received an email that I will read. I have a request for any and all letters, communications, correspondence addressed to the City of Holden, City Hall, City Clerk, and/or to Mayor Edwards pertaining to the cities of Holden's water tower and real estate located at 900 and 902 South Market Street, as well as any responses of the same. And it points out that this is a sunshine law consideration. And so on April 2nd, I'm in receipt of a communication, an email, from a councilman on an issue that had not been brought to the council's attention yet. My question to Councilman McDaniel is, how were you aware of this?
Mr. Donovan Height came to me and said that he had sent 2 letters to City Hall asking for information on whether or not the city owned the water tower property or what. And he said he did not get a response to any letters. As his property sits in my ward, I was trying to find out some information. And that's why it says any responses.
Well, my first comment is, at no time did I receive correspondence from Mr. Height.
Well, he says that he hasn't, so yes.
Well, I'm sorry. In this case, I have to say he's mistaken. And I would like to see copies of whatever that he sent, because they were never received, nor a phone call ever received. But yet you took it upon yourself to ask for really what was privileged correspondence. My response to you was, it's in the hands of the city attorney. You need to contact the city attorney.
And I did.
And you did. But I'm offended that you knew something that no other council member here knew, but yet we were in executive session on April 12th for this very topic.
Well, that's what I said. Donovan Height shared that with me.
Well, I'm sorry, Mr. Height is mistaken on his correspondence to City Hall. And it's created this confusion.
Well, that, as a councilman, I have the right to request information. And I didn't request the sunshine law request. But I see that in the verbiage on the invoice, it does mention sunshine law request.
Yes, on your letter to me, it says, letters and correspondence which are submitted to a public body are considered open records under the Missouri Sunshine Law. If you intend to deny access to any letter or letters, provide a specific reason under paragraph 610.024 of the Missouri Sunshine Law for each denial.
So you're saying because I added that paragraph, it makes it a sunshine law request?
Well, wouldn't you assume that that was being stressed in the email? It's of the same print. It's of the same language.
Well, that wasn't my intention.
I go by actual intent. I don't care what you think. I go by the printed record right here.
Well, and there was another listing on our invoice from our city attorney, Joe Willard, where he mentioned sunshine law request of Mr. McDaniel, and him and I had a conversation, and he realized that that wasn't a sunshine law request.
I'm not addressing that. That's between you and
Well,
legal.
it's on the invoice from the city attorney.
Also, I'd like to know which council person contacted the city attorney on April 5th, election day, asking for a review of the city code on terms and removal of officers, employees, and personnel policy on discipline of employees.
I've already answered that question at the finance committee meeting, and that wasn't me.
I'm asking which council person it was. Maybe they're no longer on the council.
Could be.
But if they are, shame on them.
Shame on you, Mayor.
On April 6th, well, we'll skip that. That was the sunshine law request. On April 11th, review email and inquiry from Councilman McDaniel on April 12th agenda.
Right.
Review agenda review issue on handling 2 agendas, an addition of approval of city treasurer, approval to second agenda, phone conference with city clerk. Well, that was not you either.
That was in regards to the fact that whenever the agenda came out for April, we still didn't have a place on the agenda to approve the city treasurer, but yet she had 2 checks in the finances to be approved. And so if we would have approved her first, hired her, which the council has to make that approval.
I didn't get that email request. You went right to the city attorney.
Well, I waited for the April agenda to come out, and she wasn't on there to be appointed. So I took it you weren't going to appoint her.
Well, I could have amended the agenda just like we did tonight.
Why don't you
It seems like we're spending a lot of money on attorney fees unnecessarily, when only within the last year, I've been chastised publicly for spending an excessive amount, and now I see it continuing with not newly elected, but continuing to serve council people. I think it works both ways.
It does. You have right to legal counsel, so do I as a councilman. It works both ways.
But I was chastised for spending $33,000 publicly when it was like $5,000 on city business, not personal.
A lot of those conversations were, the reason they were questioned was it was stated as legal dissolution of Board of Public Works, legal dissolution of Board of Public Works. This is all in Board of Public Works. And that's what that 5,000, a lot of that was spent. And we got common staff, so.
Well, on April 12th, Mr. Raper also called the city attorney with the same topic of the treasurer status. So we had two councilmen that avoided City Hall and called the legal attorney. And, you know, I could read the amounts that it cost.
Sure, go ahead.
Well, I don't really care to do that. If it's a dime, it's unnecessary.
You ought to call City Hall first, then you call the judge.
Have you ever tried to talk to City Hall?
It's one o'clock. I've called down there at City Hall and answered my question.
You know, it's the attitude you come in the door with that
No,
gets
it's
you
not.
service.
When you come in, it's attitude, you leave.
No, if you leave with a bad attitude, you didn't get your way. Also, on April 21st, telephone call with Attorney General Casey Lawrence regarding mayor inquiry on BPW financial audit in response to Barrett response that cannot produce what is available. We're inviting the Attorney General into our city over what?
Over a crooked mayor.
You don't need none of this out of the audience.
Yeah, you know, I'm trying to make a point here that we're wasting money.
You started it last year.
I'm not talking to you, okay? You're not recognized. Also, on April 25th, review email from Tony Lerda regarding status of Kingsville sewage pumping contract and press release by mayor of notice of public hearing on May 10th at Holler Building. I do not apologize for inviting the public here at 6:30 tonight. If it offended someone, so be it. We need public discourse on an issue this big. We're talking about an agreement between two towns that is a lifetime agreement. It doesn't expire. I think we need dialogue. If we can't have dialogue, we have a problem. And I thought the interchange tonight was very positive. But I do not appreciate being questioned over conducting city business. Thank you for your patience. I hope we can put an end to taxpayer money being spent frivolously by some of our council members. We're back to the appropriations.
I think they're willing to ruin the council at any cost.
I would second that because that's what we see. We don't see cooperation. We see harassment. We see council members raising points that are frivolous, ludicrous. And they think they can get the city attorney to fight our council battles here. That's not what he's for. He's here to represent the legal aspect of this city's operation. He's not a personal attorney to carry out personal agendas of certain council members.
He did advise.
And yes, I can see the coffee shop talk tomorrow. Mayor explodes again. But you know, I just sat through 1 year of harassment by 4 banditos on this council. 2 of them are...
Oh, shame on you, Mayor! Shame on you! Shame on you!
The only thing you've ever called us is obstructionist, and we were elected just like you. And we had what we were doing, what we thought was right. And you publicly called us obstructionists. You put it in the newspapers, that's for 2 years I sat on this council. And I said, just like this resolution is coming up, you know, I think it should be taken away. Yeah, C. You know, for us, that's just continuing harassment of the Board of Public Works, Rick. That's what we've done for 2 years. We've harassed the Board of Public Works, and we haven't let them do their job.
What have we stopped them from doing?
Everything.
Everything. And bad-mouthing us.
Hey, we don't need the audience.
Would you like me to read publicly a cyberbullying email that I got in April of 2015? We'll talk about obstructionist. That's a mild term to what I was done to me. I was cyberbullied to the business community, the politicians in this county. Why? To silence me. And it didn't work, and it's not going to work.
You publicly...
Would you remove her, please? I don't like to be interrupted.
Denounced the BPW and the members on this board.
Would you please leave, ma'am? This is a public business meeting that's going to be conducted publicly.
I'm not sitting on this meeting anymore. I don't know how anybody else can.
But the cyberbullying started in February of 2015 of this mayor. And I've held that in my heart for a year. I would dare ask anybody in this audience if you would like to be in those shoes, trying to do what's right for this city, chastise when you're in disagreement, put down publicly to the business community with only one intent: drive me out of the office because I did not agree with one individual one time. And it's a shameful situation, but I've moved on past that. And it was not going to be brought up until tonight. As a council member, you have a right to be heard. I have never shut you down. I have never denied an opinion. All 8 people are equal. But there's been some things that have challenged anybody in this position to try to work with a group that has an alternate agenda and meets on 2nd Street almost daily to get advice, counsel, and words of wisdom. Thank you for listening. I hope this is the last instances that this has to be raised. I'm willing, but if I continue to get legal bills with harassing topics and secret agendas, I'm going to be embarrassed and ashamed for this city. Those of you that have an opinion negative to me, I'm not going to change it. Believe me, I get words of encouragement, not from many of you that are here tonight, but I do get it. And that's what keeps me going, doing what's right for Holden. And we all say we want to work together. No, some of us don't. I do. Most on this council do. But those other secret agendas out there that keep jumping up every time I turn around, They're hard to deal with. And I'm not silent about it. And that's what gets me in trouble. Thank you. Okay, appropriations, any comments? Finance Committee met Thursday night. There were 3 present. They reviewed the bills.
Yes, the 3 that were present were old council members. Not one of the new elected council members was present.
Motion to approve the appropriations.
That means every Thursday before the council.
Motion by Councilman Clarkin to approve the appropriations. Is there a second? Second by Councilman Weeks. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Under resolutions and ordinances, bill number 402-16, an ordinance of the City of Holden, amending Chapter 50, alcoholic beverages, to provisions for issuing liquor licenses known as drink licenses to nail salons within Holden, Missouri city limits. Final reading.
Could I make a comment on that? The only, that's the one on the nail salon. The only comments I've heard have been negative. And for that reason is why I've heard some negative comments. And I'm stating this just on that, for that reason. You've got to represent what people think. And they said that, you know, there's places to drink and there's places to get your nails fixed, there's places to get your hairs cut. Probably the place to drink is in home or across the street or a tavern, but I can't see that a nail salon is a place and I may be mistaken, but that's my comment.
Unfortunately,
I'd be against it.
I'm on your side too. We voted yes on the first go around, and then I was.
And there's never been any discussion, but I heard, the comments I heard after that were all negative.
I talked to a couple of different people in the business, and they both were against it, wanted to know why we're even considering it. So I'm on your side, Sam.
Can I say something?
Okay, I'm going to recognize the individual that's standing in the back there. Yes.
The reason why I would like to do it is most.
If you would, please.
Could you give us your name for the record, please?
My name is Teresa Moore, and the reason why I've asked for this, it's not because I want anybody to get intoxicated. There's most towns all over in Missouri that allow this for salons to be able to, if somebody wants to come in for a pedicure, they can have 1 to 2 drinks. 1 to 2 drinks, like glasses of wine. They're not going to leave intoxicated. It's just a relaxing, people come in, they want to be relaxed. I am not a discount salon, so therefore I am a more higher end salon, so therefore I have had a lot of people tell me that they would like to have a drink while they're getting a pedicure. I go by my town's regulations and I don't do it. That's the only reason why I've asked to do this.
Ma'am?
Yes.
The only reason I'm saying this is I got 17 people come to me, my ward, and 3 of them said no. Now, I'm not against it. I did vote yes to go the first time, but as my stance, I have to go for the people in my ward want. And at this point, they still do say it's not a bad idea, so I'm still going to vote yes for your plan. I mean, that's in any place of any of us. We represent people in that board, so I mean, if they say no, hopefully it's in the best interest of the people in that board. I know Mr. Zumo had to talk about it, and I don't understand, I know where everybody stands with it, but it's just, I don't have an issue with that, I really don't. I mean, I don't like wine, I don't go to a nail salon, I don't have much hair to cut. So.
Well, and it would be different if I was wanting to like serve alcohol. This license that I'm asking for, because I've done all the research on it, is specifically for 1 to 2 drinks.
And the brings more business into one part of it.
And and I will say that too, is I have a lot of people that come from out of town, which brings this place business, for, not just for me, but for all places. So if I can offer and not everybody's going to want to do it, they're not. But if it's at least an option to say, you know, would you like to have a glass of wine? If they would like to, then I think that they should be able to. I'm not wanting to sell it. I'm not wanting to see someone get intoxicated. I'm definitely not I will not let somebody leave if I feel like they're intoxicated.
Okay. Any questions to Ms. Moore? Thank you. Any other discussion? Do I hear a motion to approve second reading of ordinance 04-02-16?
I'll make that motion.
Have a motion by Councilman Weeks to approve the ordinance. I have a second by Councilman Clarkin. Roll call, second reading.
Carter?
Yes.
Hipco?
No.
Thomas? No. Weeks?
Yes.
Larkin?
Yes.
Snoop? Raper? Dan?
No.
Fails 5-2. Motion, the ordinance fails 5-3.
So what's the next step? The first one that passes, the second one. It's called.
We have next on the agenda bill number 05-01-16, an ordinance approving and authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with Central Bank for purchase of a 2014 Ford SUV police vehicle. This will be first and second reading. Do I have a motion for first reading?
So moved.
Councilman Nipko. Is there a second? Councilman Carter? Carter, okay, sorry. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Second reading. Bill number 05-01-16, an ordinance approving and authorizing the mayor to enter an agreement with Central Bank for purchase of a 2014 Ford SUV police vehicle. Do I have a motion? Councilman Carter. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Thomas. Roll call, please.
Carter?
Yes.
Hipco?
Yes.
Thomas? Weeks?
Yes.
Larkin? Snoop? Raper?
Yes.
Motion carried. Next on the agenda is bill number 05-02-16, at first reading, an ordinance amending chapter 110, Board of Public Works. Any discussion?
Well, we already have an ordinance in place that has asked the Board of Public Works to have their meetings at City Hall. And the language in the ordinance states, I guess an ordinance would be somewhat considered a law that the city government is supposed to follow. It says it would be in the best interest of the citizens of Holden. Now, I'm not a lawyer, but I can only guess that the reason that wording's in there is because that's all that legally they can support because of the state statute that gives the board an executive control over what they do, where they meet. So, we spent, I heard someone say about $1,000 on the last ordinance, and now we're having another ordinance to ask them to meet at City Hall. I would just ask, why? If they're not meeting there now, and state statutes trump this ordinance, why are we having another ordinance that they're not gonna have to follow if they choose not to.
This is proposed as an amendment to the current ordinance.
Who drew up the ordinance?
We took the old ordinance was used and the new requests were incorporated into it.
So was it drawn up by an attorney, or was it drawn up by City Hall?
Well, the amendment, the words that were put into the ordinance to amend it were City Hall.
So it wasn't drawn up by an attorney? That's no, right?
Well, originally, yes.
So
In the essence of saving money.
we have a city attorney here tonight. Okay.
I think, I'd like to move, that we remove that 05, 02, 16 for further consideration, and we let the Board of Public Works do what they're supposed to without further arrest.
I second that.
It's not an agenda item.
It's a motion for the floor.
While we're considering this amendment, would you restate that, please, so we all know what you're saying?
I move that we remove 05-02-16, an ordinance amending chapter 110, Board of Public Works, first reading, from consideration, and we let the Board of Public Works do their job without further arrest.
And I second that.
It's already been left on the agenda. We can't double jeopardy it. We already did. We left a vote to leave it on.
You know, it might make some sense if you're getting special counsel to employ him, let him review this ordinance, since I did not express an opinion.
Well, for the record, I believe in the ordinance. I think the meetings should be held here at City Hall. That's my personal opinion, and it's the way many people on my board, with the exception of few. If you want to table the ordinance to review with the attorney of special interest,
I don't see a reason to pay now. There's a motion before
we have an ordinance that's been in effect and it's being overseen just because of the wording. The only thing this does is put consequence to the actions.
Well, you remember the form letters that were sent out, and this one here is Neil Carter. He signed his name to a complaint to the Attorney General's office, and Miss Casey Lawrence pinned that in her opinion...
Is this relevant to our, what's on the floor?
Sure it is, because we're trying to approve an agenda that won't be able to be held up in a court of law. State statute says right here, said board shall make all necessary regulations for the government of the department not inconsistent with the general laws of the state. I could ask Mr. Willerth why he didn't put some language in the last ordinance that said they shall or they must meet at City Hall, but he used the verbiage, it would be in the best interest of the citizens of Holden.
And this ordinance amendment says the same thing, verbatim.
Yeah.
This amendment is to hold the meetings of the Board of Public Works in a public facility, which is City Hall.
Well, I could read what Miss Casey Lawrence from the Attorney General's office said. Each meeting shall be held at a place reasonable, accessible to the public, and of sufficient size to accommodate the anticipated attendance by members of the public. And that was in bold letters in her response to Neil Carter's complaint on my behalf.
Whoa. What are you pointing me at, Jimmy?
Well, your name's on the letter that was...
I ain't the only one.
You signed
There's a lot of them.
We can send this ordinance to Casey General and have an opinion on both sides.
She can't give you a legal opinion.
Let's hold it off and we'll go to the special lawyer and we'll have them make the decision if it's legal enough for us to do it or not.
I think there's a motion on the floor with the second to do away with the ordinance that's being proposed.
Do a roll call.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second.
What is
The motion is to remove
Ordinance amending chapter.
the ordinance which amends Chapter 110, Board of Public Works.
Seconded by
Motion and a second. All in favor of doing away with the ordinance proposed? Roll call.
Carter.
No.
Pinko.
Yes.
Thomas. Weeks.
No.
Parker.
No.
Jill. Creighton.
Yes.
Yes.
We just.
5 no, motion fails.
We just voted to continue harassing post office workers.
Okay. We are now asking for a motion for first reading on Bill 0216, an ordinance amending Chapter 110, Board of Public Works. Do I have a motion for first reading? Motion by Weeks. Do I have a second? Second by Councilman Clarkin. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carried.
I want to read down that.
Can you? Okay, we've had a request for roll call.
What is it?
Weeks. Thomas. Yes. Pinko.
Nope.
Carter.
Yes.
Parker. Seymour. Creighton.
No.
No.
3 no, 5 yes. First reading, approved. Do I have a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Excuse me.
Second?
Excuse me a minute. I tried to get up your attention when you talked about the church.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
I was trying to get your attention when you all was talking about the attorney deal. And I've got information on it.
Well, probably not at this time. If you would come back next month, we'll let you speak.
You know, I had dealings with Rose Chemical.
Thank you.
Report on committees.
I need a second.
We have reports on committees on the agenda. Mayor, we have reports on committees still on the agenda.
What is it?
Committees.
Oh, goodness, we're moving along here. Okay, reports on committees.
Now, the one thing,
Start over here by Councilman Weeks.
there's a motion to adjourn, and that's a non-debatable. We have to vote on that. If we want to vote on it, then we can vote it down.
I withdraw that request for adjournment. We added to the agenda the hiring of the reserve officer, Patrick Yost, YOST. Do I have a motion to approve his employment on a probationary basis? Motion by Woods. Second by Councilman Clarkin. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Now, committee reports. Councilman Weeks.
Cars here, pinstriping goes on Monday. We're done. DPW, stormwater, stormwater has nothing to do with the sewer plant, so if any complaints about the stormwater, come to the city council. We have a stormwater issue we've addressed a couple of times. Don't go to the water plant complaining about it, it's not their ballpark. Two different systems. They elected all their officers are going to stay the same. They had some elementary students touring the water system plant, had a picnic out there. Sewer plant had final inspection on the sewer plant. And I asked about the plans on the open house of the sewer plant, and sewer waiting on the grass through, and they said they would come up with a date.
What about the fishing? What about the fishing?
Oh, yeah, we got a fishing in July.
No, June 11th and 12th, the Department of Conservation in Missouri has what they call Free Fishing Day. There is no license required for anyone for fishing on June 11th and 12th, Saturday and Sunday. And the Board of Public Works, the comments are open floor. I mentioned that, and
I didn't hear him. That's why I confirmed with you, but I think it's a great idea on top of it.
and I suggest maybe waiving the lake, Holden Lake permit for those 2 days.
Good idea. We do that next month. Nancy? Jim? Neil? Carter?
Well, I thought I did, but apparently I don't, so.
Okay. Mike? Sandy? Jim?
I have 2 questions I would just like clarification on. On the Facebook page, we were posting the approved minutes of the city council meeting. I see they've been removed. Are they planning on being added to the City of Holden's new website for citizens to view the minutes of the meeting?
We're in a transitional period now with that new website, and to answer your question, yes.
And then the chart that is listed on the budget page of the councilman, it shows the BPW, how much money they spend, but it just says water. And an accurate reflection of that would be, I can get that for you, and we can put that on there so to show where all the money goes for the BPW.
Sure, bring it to City Hall, we'll look at it.
And I had one more.
Anything else?
Oh, well, did we forget the Holden Water Department is a department within the city, and they do not have a page on the new City of Holden's Facebook or website? Do we not want them to be included in our city government? Are we trying to exclude them?
Certainly.
I think that.
No, if they would like a spot on our website, I don't see a problem with that.
Okay. Well,
They'll be responsible for furnishing information to put on there.
I think it would be a good thing.
Since we don't have their information.
Right, and the old website's down where people could go in and look at the rate structures for what it costs for water, that's gone now. So that they can't access that information anymore.
Okay.
Rates for water users, sewer users. Thank you.
Motion for adjournment. Motion by Councilman Clarkin, second by Councilman Weeks. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. We are adjourned.